back with another brand breakdown today. Jack, this brand is, I gotta put it simply, the biggest thing in streetwear right now.
Yeah, definitely leading the way, Jess. We got Aimé on Dore today. Massive brand. If you haven't heard of them, you've been living, I don't know where you've been living, but
Not in fucking New York, LA.
or London or
Anyway,
anywhere of relevance. They were founded in 2014 by founder Teddy Santis. He's born and raised in Queens, New York, Jess.
Yep.
Got a Greek background. Very understated kind of guy. And usually with these big brands, you can, easily find out about them, and there's articles of them. They've been speaking to people and written about a lot. This guy's a ghost. Like, you really can't find too much about him. He's got 0 posts on Instagram. So I think that also tells you a lot about his character and how he likes to go about things and keep a bit of a low profile.
give us, so the brand ALD, Aimé Leon Dior, people call it, there's a few different ways people pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it.
Yeah, I think it's Aimé Leon Dore.
Yeah, there'd be like a Greek way to pronounce it,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
so the name, is that what you're going to go into?
Yeah, give us, there's a lot more meaning to it though, isn't there?
There is, yeah. So AIM is, it's basically an amalgamation of the word loved in French. So that is AIM. Leon is Teddy's dad's nickname, and Dore is short for Theodore, which is Teddy's full name.
Yep.
So a real like family culture, lots of heritage built in from the name, and that, transpires into the brand itself. So, Teddy, back to Teddy, amazing designer, creative director, and I think what stands out for me the most, Jess, is just how unwavering he's been in the way he's branded. It seems like he knows why he's doing it, and he stayed true to those roots the whole way through, which in today's world is something you have to respect.
Huge. This hasn't been an overnight success. As you said, 2014, he's stuck to his core and built out this nostalgic sort of powerhouse that goes across. It's multicultural as well. It's very European in its roots. And then obviously what they do in New York with like the whole basketball and the list. Like I don't think there's been a brand that has encapsulated two cultures as well as ALD.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's jump into the styling. So very nostalgic, urban preppy styling, which is becoming pretty popular today, with your likes of Kith and different brands in the UK too. So they've kind of mastered this look.
They have to the point, Jack, where, so many brands are literally just carbon copies, and it's getting almost grotesque. It's like, why are we seeing this so often? ALD is so prominent and powerful that it's just, I think people are following it because they're always going to follow the leader, of course, but it's been done to death. We're talking about the wooden stools, the oak, the basketball, the cabinets in the background, the trophies. They've just nailed that aesthetic tenfold.
Yeah, they have. Let's jump into the nostalgia. They use it a lot throughout the brand. You can see it, not only in a physical sense, but also, their music and who they get wearing the clothing as well. Models, they've used guys like rappers like Nas, Sebastian Telfair, basketball.
Broadly speaking, Jack, we've got a UK influence. We've got a US, namely East Coast UK. NYC, New York. And then we've got a very Greek sort of heritage. So Teddy will go back to his roots, and about 2 years ago they were shooting like those goats and the old grandma with the old rosemary leaves, and he was encapsulating that really well. And then, of course, being from Queens, New York, he understands, Nas, Sebastian Telfair, that type of energy. Of course, Michael Jordan, there's that strong roots. But then you head to the UK and you've got this Chavs, almost Green Street hooligans. He's encapsulated that. So when you speak about it like this, it almost sounds impossible to do those three things in one brand.
Yeah.
But you jump on ALD and they've done it. There's not even a gap in the marketing. It's just perfect.
Yeah, they've done it fucking incredibly. Like, hats off to Teddy. It's it's taken him 9 years to do it, so it's worth noting that he's had a long-term approach to it. He hasn't just come to light in an instant.
And to go specific there, you mentioned Sebastian Telfair, and this is why the brand is where it is. It's the small decisions that showcase the brand to the 10th degree. And what I mean by that is Sebastian Telfair, for those that don't know him, he was a New York basketball. He played on a bunch of NBA teams. He was the grind hustle guy, which is what New York's all about, right? You go to New York, anyone that's been there, jumping off the subway, you're getting bumped. You're on 42nd Street, you can't breathe. There's fumes everywhere. Like, New York City is hustle and grind, and the basketball team's like that. You know, that's how all the fans sit and scream and carry on. They want to see blood. They want to see elbows. That's what it's all about. That's Patrick Ewing. That's the culture, right?
Yeah.
Sebastian Telfair embodied that the most. He was the grit grind guy the coach would just throw in for 2 minutes a quarter just to cause a ruckus.
Yeah, I love what you said when you said the little details, and I think that's something they do really well is the attention to details on point. And they've built campaigns around, Telfair and with Mulberry Park and different basketball capsules and campaigns, which, again, like they just seem to hit it out the park every time. But, we know how much would go into that, how much thought, time, energy.
Any other brand's going to pick the marquee player. And that's the typical thing to do, right? Pick the biggest all-star who gets paid the most, who's the face. But ALD, the reason they've been able to tap into 3 different cultures is the subtleness and the deep understanding, right? Only the real New Yorkers know that Sebastian Telfair is the lifeblood of the team, right? So in choosing him as a model, he shows that he understands that.
Talk to me about the comparison with Ralph Lauren and what you see.
I mean, it's the clear comparison, right? Straight off the bat, they were selling vintage polo in 2022. So there is an inextricable link there that you can't look past. A lot of their colorways, patterns, like everything screams polo. It's the biggest streetwear brand. From in my perspective, it's that American dream, and you can see ALD just draws strongly from it. Look, I think ALD grew up in an era. 2014 is when social media really started to rise, and Teddy clearly has a unique feel for social media that a brand like Polo doesn't. You jump on Polo's Instagram, yes, it has 9 million followers, but it's also very commercialized. They're selling those fragrances. They're doing those really commercial, I say cringy things. So ALT's lifeblood, it's real, it's culture. You go to their London store and there's like the best music playing and the most world-class DJs. Polo's not going for that aesthetic. So in the current landscape we're in, I think ALD is going to continue to grow. I think brands like Polo will more live as a heritage brand, but it's a tough one. It's a really tough one to answer.
Yeah, I suppose there's just you can see lots of comparisons there, and the way ALD have, gone about their styling and color palettes, as you said, that's probably been an inspiration, I think, for Teddy.
Oh, absolutely.
Collaborations, they've done some massive ones. I think this is one of the biggest ways that they've organically grown over the years is really, and again, strategically picking these collaborations. They don't just collaborate with anyone. New Balance is probably the biggest one. Teddy is actually the creative director for New Balance's Made in USA. So he's designed a bunch of shoes on some of the classic, what do you call it?
550s, like
550s, 990s, classic silhouettes. That's what I was looking for. So there's a real strong tie and bond between ALD and New Balance.
It also ties into the UK, New Balance being huge in the UK.
True.
Another tactical decision.
Yeah. Clark's is another one. Woolrich is one I really liked. It's been around since the 1830s. American-born wool brand, very sustainable on the front of social responsibility. The thing I loved about the collaboration with Woolrich is there's a video actually of Teddy going in and working with the creative director of Woolrich, who's a European guy. And Teddy, first thing, he just goes straight to the archives, 30,000 garments they've got sitting in this Woolrich factory, and he's just picking through, things from 100, 200 years ago of Woolrich history, heritage, and that's what he builds a collaboration off. And that, I just love that because he obviously has a real respect for culture and what's come before.
Yeah. Yeah, this brand doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. They're big nostalgia drivers, really. There's a reason they've chosen Porsche, Clark's, Woolrich, these brands that are global and are known for elegance over a long period of time. And he's done that to a T again. This is why the brand is a powerhouse, because he hasn't missed on these collaborations.
Yep.
Yeah, it's insane. And you only have to look at the New York and London stores to see that.
Yeah, they're incredible. The interiors, they would have spent millions on these fit outs. They're, again, attention to detail is insane. There's like a cafe and a bar in each of them. There's a record room. There's famous paintings and artists that have done installations in there. Tyrell Winston's basketball wall has become pretty famous. That's in the London store. There's a pair of J's hanging right next to it. Just like the little touches like that.
Yeah, and you look at Tyrell as an English artist that clearly plays on American themes, and what a great decision to pick.
Just matched them. Yep. which I guess there's no debate why Louis Vuitton or LVMH has now invested in the brand in 2022. They've obviously seen what everyone else has seen, which is this amazing potential for an absolute juggernaut heritage brand that can stand the test of time. So yeah, now not only do they have, great, a great founder and branding, now they've got a conglomerate that's backing them as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's hard to stay at the top. You look at Polo, who's just absolutely dominated the last 30, 40 years. But do I think ALD will do it? I mean, if there's one brand that can, it's going to be them. But with that said, I don't think in 10 years' time they're going to be where they are today. They're right at the forefront. They've absolutely dominated social media.
No one can, I think.
No one can. Yeah. And, I think a brand like Polo growing up in a different time was more sustainable for a longer period. Those knits throughout the 90s through to the early 2000s when Kanye wore it for graduation, you look at the album cover there, they were sustainable for almost generations. So do I think ALD will do the same? I don't think so, because they're more building from nostalgia than building new product. I think Polo would have more staple pieces that they stamped in society. But with that said, if there's one brand that's going to prove me wrong, it's them.
I think so. Guys, an amazing brand, sure to do some amazing things with LVMH on board. So yeah, keep an eye out, and thanks again. If you guys got any recommendations for any more brand breakdowns,
drop them below.
We're all ears.
Yeah, drop the questions below. We'll have a question there. We will choose one of those brands. So please do it. Thanks, guys.